So this morning, our hour, which is hour number 5 of the National Farmers Day live stream, we're heading out to New York, as you just heard, to meet farmer Casey Knapp. And Casey, it looks like you're live from the pasture. How's life in New York?
Life is good. You guys picked a really good day. It's beautiful fall weather. It's 60 degrees. We've got tons of great leaves. And as you can see, the whole milking herd is right behind me. They're just getting onto some fresh clover that we planted earlier this year. So they're loving it right now.
Amazing. Yeah, your fall foliage is in full force out there. That's beautiful.
It is. Yeah, it's a good time of year.
Perfect.
Well, they look stunning and they look super happy. Why don't you tell us more about what the cows are eating? It sounds like some clover. What else is in there?
So this is actually just about 100% clover that we planted earlier this year. Towards the end of the fall, we get a little bit less rain and less sunlight. So we want to have something really juicy for them to eat during the day. So this clover just is basically just starting to flower. So it's the perfect time for the cows to get the most nutrients out of it. So right now this is one of their favorite things to eat. So you can see they're all really busy, mouths down, getting right in there.
Well, it's like right about lunchtime, so it sounds about right that they should be like nose in deep in their salad. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Casey, you mentioned that you guys just planted that clover field. So I have to ask, are you on a new farm or is this an existing farm that you've been on for a while?
Yeah, this is definitely not a new farm. My brothers and I are actually the 5th generation to be on this farm. So this is clover that we planted earlier in the kind of like late spring, so that it would be ready by this time. And it's something that we do a few different types of crops. Sometimes we'll plant some sorghum or some buckwheat for mid to late summer, so that there's something a little bit different for them to have, different type of pasture for them to go out on.
I love it. And I see that you're wearing your Save the Bees or your Save the Bees shirt, if I'm not mistaken. Stunning. It's part of our pollinator collection. Tell me more about, I heard that you're saying that our clover is just blooming. You want to tell us some more about, the things that you do on your farm to keep lots of animals happy?
Yeah, we've got a lot of different things going on here. So the backbone of our farm is actually the dairy herd. We joined Organic Valley in 2003, but we have always, since my great grandfather had dairy cows here. But we have a lot of other, what we like to call enterprises as well. So we raise about 1,000 meat chickens every year. And we have just about ready about 250 turkeys for Thanksgiving. And we have a beef herd, organic and grass-fed beef herd, as well as some pigs that we raise, and then a laying flock too, and a couple other things. But those are the main types of animals that we raise here.
And tell us more about like the other animals that happen to also be on the farm. Do you get lots of bees and butterflies seasonally?
Yeah, we actually have someone who brings about 25 beehives onto the farm, and they will pollinate a lot of the like the alfalfa fields, the hay fields that we have for the feed for the winter. So when that is ready to harvest, we bottle that up and we sell that in our farm shop as well. So that's how we keep everything pollinated. There's plenty of bees here. And then in terms of other animals that you see, there's a lot of deer that will run through our fences. So we always have to kind of do a perimeter check in the morning to make sure that all the fences are still there. And then there's a lot of different types of birds as well. So we just recently started to get a lot of ospreys, which are kind of like in between a hawk and an eagle. And we do have bald eagles that will swing by as well. We have a little creek that runs through our farm, and we always see great blue herons there, and tons of other little birds, and woodchucks and rabbits and stuff as well. But it's there's a lot of activity.
Amazing. So Casey, right off the bat, we have a question from the Boystfort 3rd grade class. So hello, Boystfort. But they're wondering, you mentioned a lot of different crops on your farm. You mentioned clover and sorghum and hay. How long do those crops typically take to grow?
Oh, that's a good question. The sorghum will grow pretty quickly after we plant it. It will be ready in probably like 2.5 months. The buckwheat is similar. The corn takes a little bit longer. So you're supposed to plant that basically as soon as the soil is warm enough, like in the middle of April. Sometimes we usually get to it like around the middle of May. And our corn is still in the field right now, and we're gonna have the combine come through in a couple of weeks and chop it up for us and get it ready for the winter. So that takes just about all summer to get to the point where it's ready to harvest.
That's great. So you mentioned corn. I know it's been a hot conversation today, but the question is, do you grow corn for feed? Do you chop it all into silage? Do you sell the corn as grain? What do you do with it?
All of the corn that we grow is going to be put up for the winter. So we don't sell anything to other farmers or other places. All the corn that we grow is going to be, winter corn silage for the cows. So they have some tasty food during the winter.
Awesome.
Speaking of cows, I see you've got a few friendly girls behind you. Do you have any favorites, or do you want to introduce us to a couple of them?
Let's see if we could do that. If I can find some of them here. Not all of them have names, but some of them have kind of like my own pet names. And there's one that I just always catch staring at me. I just like kind of lovingly. She doesn't look like a monkey or anything, but I just call her my monkey girl. I don't know why. I don't quite see her right now. But that red one straight ahead, she's just called Big Red because she is just the spiciest one that we have. If you come up to pet her, she will like act like you're at a rodeo and start moving her head around. She's doing it like for fun, but she's a 1,300 pound animal, so you gotta be careful. You see most of the ones here are all black and white or brown and white. This one is our only Jersey Holstein cross. The rest of them are all Holsteins.
Their coats are so shiny and they're so beautiful. How do you get such shiny coats on all of these beautiful animals?
Well, if they have a good diet and they are outside in the sunshine and the rain every now and then, they keep their coats nice and clean and nice and shiny and healthy looking. So
I love it.
And you mentioned they're almost all Holsteins. So Casey, I guess why Holsteins? Is that a breed that's near and dear to your heart? Is that what your parents raised as well when they were doing dairy? Like, why Holsteins?
We have always had Holsteins, and they're just the most adaptable and kind of dependable breed, in my opinion. And they also just make the most milk out of there's like 6 major dairy breeds, and these are the ones that make the most milk. So some other breeds, other farms make a little bit more, like a little bit more butter fat and a little bit more protein. And the Holsteins are known for just making the most amount of milk. And so that's what we've always had. And they do really well in the winter. They graze really well, and they're hardy animals. So we've always had Holsteins.
You mentioned that there are like 6 major dairy breeds. Do you know all 6 of them off the top of your head?
Yeah, the 6 ones are going to be the Holstein, the Jersey, the Guernsey, the milking Shorthorn, the brown Swiss, and then an Ayrshire. Those are the main ones that you hear. There's other ones, different niche ones as well, but those are the main ones that you hear people talking about.
And brown Swiss, those are the ones that make the chocolate milk, right?
I wish that'd be great.
Speaking of chocolate milk, Casey, do you have a favorite OV product that you love to eat at home?
My favorite Organic Valley product is not quite in season yet, but it's the eggnog.
That's a good choice.
Yeah, that's always the favorite in our fridge and like during Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff. So I'm keeping my eye out for when that's ready and in the stores.
Personal favorite here as well. So yeah, yes. We're among friends. We're all ready for it to come back out. Casey, I know you're on the East Coast, but what time did your day start this morning as a farmer?
I'm up at 4:30 to start to make coffee and get ready for everything. So we milk twice a day. So the first milking, we get started around 5 a.m. And then these girls will be out here until about 3, and then they'll come in the barn, and around 4 o'clock we'll start milking again. So starts pretty early, and then we usually wrap up around 6 if there's nothing else going on. There's sometimes another during the summer after we're done with chores. We still have enough daylight to bale some hay and wrap some hay and get some things ready for the winter. So pretty regularly having 12 to 15 hour days here, which isn't nothing unique to our farm. I think all farmers are doing that.
So when do you get a day off, Casey?
Well, I got married about a month ago, so I had some time off.
Congratulations. For that. That's amazing.
But, yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. But other than that, not a whole lot, but it's fine because it's all really fun. It's like every day is a lot of fun and new challenges and new things to do. So it's, when I do get time off, it's like I'm just thinking about all the things that I could be doing here. So
you mentioned challenges and changes, and just curious, I know you mentioned you're 5th generation farmer, at least like on your direct line. Sounds like longer before that, but farming's changed a lot. What are some of the changes that you want to make as that next new generation on the farm? Like, what are you hoping to see your farm grow into in the next couple of years?
I mean, I want to make sure that we still focus a lot on the dairy, because I think that there's a lot of opportunity there with, we've been with Organic Valley for over 20 years, and I think that there's a lot of great things coming. But the other thing that we do is we provide a lot of really high quality meat and eggs and other products right to the community around us. So we have a little bit of a kind of a makeshift shop now where we have freezers and other things that we sell, but I would love to have an actual farm store where we have maybe a drive-through coffee shop attached to it, and more things for people to see, more really healthy products for people to be exposed to. Because I'll just share one quick story just about the wedding, since I just mentioned it. One of the cool things that we were able to do was provide chickens as one of the meals for the wedding. So there were a lot of people that you usually can get a vegetarian and maybe a steak and maybe a fish, but we had a chicken option, and there were so many people that came up to us and said, like, I didn't even know the chicken could taste that good. I'd never had a chicken like this before. So I think that more and more people are focusing on their health and having making sure that their kids are healthy, and I think that there's so many people that are focusing on that now, and I think that having a farm store would be a really good way to get that in front of more people.
Absolutely.
And speaking of other animals or other products, I think you have some other birds on your farm, some ducks maybe. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those and how you got into having ducks on your farm?
Yeah, sure. The ducks, and we can see some of them later because I have some things prepared for you guys. But the ducks started out just kind of as a hobby, and we wanted to get a few different breeds. One is particularly good at eating bugs and flies, so they would have plenty to eat during the summer. But they started laying eggs and started having ducklings. And one of the things that I really like to do with the duck eggs is make ice cream. And we got an ice cream maker and have started to make that for just birthdays and other times during the summer. And we're going to try some a little bit later today. I can show you what it looks like and show you how easy it is to make.
That's awesome.
We could start walking over to the ducks if unless there's other things that you guys want to go over here.
No, please.
Let's start walking.
Yeah.
We can ask you some more questions about the girls too. So how many cows are on your farm right now?
Total, we probably have about 150. We maybe a little bit more than that, but we were milking just under 60 cows. And then we have kind of the young stock, the ones that are growing up and are going to be milk cows soon. And then we have our beef herd as well, about a mile away. So that's all the cows that we have here.
Amazing.
And you kind of briefly mentioned too, I think, that you have these ducks and the chickens, they eat some of the flies. You keep cows on pasture. What else do you do for preventative care on your farm to keep your animals healthy?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I think the cool thing about organic farming and some of the ways that that we have it set up is, we really don't have that many issues that come up, because they're not being, the cows are not being pushed really hard to make as much milk as possible. They're not being pushed to have as many calves as possible. So they have a little bit more of a relaxed lifestyle. And that is because they have really healthy food. They're outside, they're eating grass, and they have that relaxed lifestyle. There's not that many issues that come up. There always are different things, but well, one of the, maybe it's a little bit of a different thing that we do is we use a lot of homeopathy for different things. If they're having a calf and we want to make sure that they're relaxed and have everything that they need, we have a few remedies there. But those are as if you make sure that the cows are comfortable, they have nice bedding, that they have feed, and water, like they usually take care of themselves pretty well.
Yeah, a healthy herd is definitely a happy herd for sure.
You bet. Well, and we see that fall foliage, and you're not wearing a sweatshirt, so it's probably not that cold in New York, but give it a couple of weeks here and it's going to get pretty chilly. What happens to the cows in the winter, Casey?
So in the winter, they will, there's not grass for them to eat, but for a little while, until like mid-November, they'll still be sleeping outside every night. And then, but during the coldest time, they will be in the barn, or we have a kind of a second barn that they'll be spending the night in. And I guess since we're walking by it, I'll show you right here. This has a lot of the feed for the winter. So this is full of basically grass right now. And during the winter, we will break this open, and this is going to be part of what they eat during the winter. Since there's not grass in the pasture, what we do is we mow it and chop it and put it into, these are called ag bags. So this is what, and then right in front of them are round bales. So these are really nice, like basically the best type of grass that we have, we turn into round bales. So it's a different way to feed some of them.
How many family members are actively farming right now with you?
That's a good question. Right now, my mom and my dad are still pretty involved, and myself and my brother is actually, he lives on the farm, but he has a job off the farm, but he also raises his own sheep. So he's still pretty active and around. And I have one other younger brother who's a musician in Los Angeles. So it's tough for him to come over and milk, but when he comes back to visit, he always helps out with chores too. So we have, so basically 3 of us that are kind of full time, and then we have a few people who come in to help with chores and help with milking.
Love that you put him back to work when he comes back from the big city. That's great. Well, I noticed you stopped walking, Casey. Where are we at on your farm right now?
Right now, we are where the ducks are and 2 of our geese, but there was, luckily, we may have a little surprise here for everyone, because the ducklings that hatched are right close by. So I'm going to flip this, and we'll see how close we can get without them running away. But there's 10 of them right now, and there's the mama right with them. Let's see.
Oh, that's so cool.
They're so cute.
So when did these ducklings hatch?
These ducklings hatched probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. So you can see they've already grown quite a bit, and they go just about everywhere. Sometimes they even follow the cows out to the pasture. It's really funny. They'll just hop right in the line and walk out there with them.
This is not a familiar duck to me, Casey. Can you tell me more about this duck? What kind of duck is it?
Yeah, this is it's called a Muscovy duck. They have a little bit of a different head. So they have these things called carnuncles on their face. I don't know if the camera's coming through where you can see the red stuff on their face, but the other unique thing is that they don't quack. They hiss. So they're much quieter than some of the other ducks, and they're usually used for meat because they're a little bit bigger, and these are the ones that we get to eat the flies. So they are really good at eating flies in the barn. So there's the ducklings.
What's so important about having animals that eat flies in your barn?
Well, the flies can be a little bit of a nuisance to the cows. So it's nice that they can keep the fly population down, and it keeps the cows a little bit happier.
Oh, I love that.
Perfect.
Well, they are so cute. I don't know why you don't have like so many more of them. They're so freaking adorable. What other birds do you have in your little pasture here?
So there's another Muscovy right there. That's actually a male one. So this black duck is actually called a Cayuga, and they are from this area. So there's one of the Finger Lakes is called Cayuga Lake, and they are unique because they lay like dark or almost black eggs. So they're kind of cool. And you can see right here, these are two of our geese. They're kind of like our protection geese that we have. The gray one is called a Toulouse, and then the white one is called an Edmund.
I never would have known that geese would have been security guards on the farm.
The bouncers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, they do a really good job, and we actually have more of them over at the chicken pasture. So we have a whole system where the ducks or the geese are always on alert. Any noise they make, they go off and they start honking. And then we have some livestock guardian dogs that are also there, and they will wake up from the geese and they'll go investigate anything. If there's a fox or a fisher, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a fisher before, but it's like a big weasel that will come by and eat chickens. So they're really good part of the security system that we have here. I did bring one of our chickens over here, and she's kind of a cool one. Let me see if I can pick her up here. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can bring Honey into the picture.
Oh,
Honey
she's
the chicken.
Cute.
Yes.
What kind of chicken is she?
So she is a little bit of a more unique one. As you can see, she's got tons of feathers on her head.
She's ready for a party for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's got her party hat on.
So she's called a golden laced Polish, and we'll set her down here so we can run around. I'll flip it around so you can see her. This is just my favorite type of chicken that I've always liked since I was a little kid. Is they just look so cool, and there's many different types of Polish chickens that have the feathers on their head, but we actually have to keep her feathers trimmed, because if they get too long, she can't really see where she is. And one time she actually went over to the neighboring farm and she was lost in the grass, and it took us like a day to find her. And I remember when we finally found her and picked her up, she like immediately fell asleep. She was just so tired from walking around not knowing where she was going. So
that's great. Well, Casey, question in the chat on chickens. Maybe how old is Honey? Because it sounds like you two have a pretty close relationship, but how old is your oldest chicken?
So Honey is probably up there with the oldest group. She has to be around 3.5 now, because that's about how long that I've been full-time on the farm, and that's when we got the first group of chickens like her.
Looks like a beautiful day there in New York. Tell us about what are the cows' favorite weather types? What do they love to be in? What makes them what is their ideal day?
And this is about as close as it gets. So they don't like it to be too hot. Anything that's like maybe as low as 45 to 55, and right now I think it's about 60 degrees. So they like it to be a little bit cooler and sunny, and that way they can be active all day eating. They won't get too hot. They won't have to go rest in the shade and then go back to eat. So a day like the fall is a really good time. Late summer, early fall is like the perfect time for cows to be outside, and they just love it. This is kind of the perfect temperature for them.
They're like maximizing their eating time, which I can totally get on board with.
Yeah.
And Casey, how long has your family been with Organic Valley?
We joined Organic Valley a little more than 20 years ago. So in 2003 is when the first truck came to pick up milk for Organic Valley.
Awesome. And in your experience or through that time, what have been some of your favorite parts about being with OV, being a farmer owner? What have you enjoyed about the co-op?
What excites you about being a farmer every day?
Yeah, I guess two different questions, but for the Organic Valley part, I think the best part has just been, we're part of an actual cooperative. So it's not like we're just selling our milk to some company that's just then going to go sell it. Because it's a cooperative, the farmers are actually in charge of the whole company. They're on the board of directors. It's all farmers. And the whole time you feel like, everything that you say or any issue that you have or any idea that you have is going to be heard, because the people who are in charge are doing the same job as you. And one of I think the benefits of that is just keeping a very stable and frankly like very competitive pay price for farmers. The main thing in dairy is on the conventional side. So if you're not an organic farm, is the milk price will go way up, it'll go way down. There's no predictability in it. So if you want to build a new barn and then suddenly the price of milk goes way down and money is tight, that can be pretty challenging. So just knowing that Organic Valley has been around for a really long time, it's been very stable and always run by farmers. It's just this peace of mind, I think, that really goes a long way when you're trying to plan things out and think of what the next couple of years are going to be like.
Sure. Well, and Casey, interestingly enough, you mentioned barns. It sounds like a while ago we had done some painting on a barn at your farm. Do you want to tell us what's going on the barn here?
Yeah. So this is actually over. It's about a mile away from here, right where I grew up, where my parents still live. And this is what we call the Quonset. It's a Quonset building, so it's like a big metal domed building. And this is right next to the highway. So as you're driving on the highway and you look out your window, you can see this. And I think they made it over 10 years ago, and it still looks great. And it's just a really cool way to rep Organic Valley and let everyone know that some of the milk that they're drinking or getting from the supermarket is produced right here.
It's stunning. I mean, it is a beautiful farm that you guys are on. You guys clearly do an incredible job taking care of it. It's just spectacular to look at. So thank you.
Well, Casey, we have this silo. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but this is the silo of questions. So folks in the chat, feel free to keep adding questions as you see fit. But while we're working on what comes next on the farm, we're going to ask you some of these if that's all right.
Go for it.
Let's see. Oh, this one says, what year was Organic Valley founded? An extra credit if you can name our first CEI EIO.
I believe it was founded in 1988, and George Seaman was the first CEO, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Nailed it.
Okay.
Nailed it.
And that is a very special title. It's not CEO, it's CEIEIO.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Casey, this has been a popular question for the day in general. How do you eat your stringles? Do you peel or do you chomp? This is like very critical information.
Yeah, I know. I'm a bit of a barbarian. I just bite into them. I don't.
He's a rebel.
I know you're supposed to peel them, but I just bite right into them.
I love it. Okay, another popular question that we've had today too. Do you have a favorite tractor? I think that farmers are pretty opinionated of what we've heard today about their tractor preference. Do you have a favorite type of tractor?
We have a tractor. It's a Deutz. I think it's like I want to say it's like a Deutz 1912, and it is from 1970. It's from 1972, and it's still going strong. It will not break. It will not give up, and it even has a plaque on it. It said "Made in West Germany." So it's like the oldest tractor. It runs great and has like no bells and whistles on it. One of my favorite parts, it may be kind of hard to explain, but it only has one thing on the dash, and it shows the RPMs and then the miles per hour for every gear, and it's only one dial. But they kind of have different levels to it. So I don't know. I think it's really cool tractor, and that's my favorite one.
That's really cool.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, right? Just like being really efficient on our farms, right? And Absolutely. Making the most of all the things that we have. So that's awesome, Casey. We love it.
So Casey, we do have another question in the chat. This one's from Cassidy, but for you, growing up in agriculture, growing up on the farm, obviously you've got a ton of experience, but to you, what's the single most rewarding part about farming?
It's a good question. I think there's a lot of parts that go into it, but the thing that I like the most is the health aspect. So we can produce the healthiest possible food for people, and we have so many stories that come through. The first one that comes to mind is we had one customer here who said that one of her family members had kind of severe bipolar disorder, like for years, and had kind of a lot of issues with it. And then they realized that if they only have organic grass-fed meat, it totally goes away. And so we have this one customer who's been coming here for years and buys tons of meat, and because like their family member pretty much can't function without it. So I'm not saying that meat, grass-fed meat cures bipolar. I don't, there's more that goes into it, I'm sure, but there's just so many stories like that where someone has a real meaningful change in their life because they have healthy food. And that's the main thing that is really enjoyable for me. There's tons of other things. I love working with animals. I love being outside and all the puzzles and challenges that you solve every day. But knowing that, it's the most honest thing that you can do, giving people a really healthy product and giving animals a really good life and making the environment around you better is it's pretty rewarding. So those are kind of some of my favorite parts.
So Casey, what is your favorite farm chore? I know for me, when I used to do some milking help, it was bringing the cows in every morning. I loved getting out early and seeing them wake up a little bit. What is that for you? What is your favorite chore that you like to do on the farm?
Oh, my favorite chore. I do like it. I really do like it when you can see them go out on grass. So like setting up the fences, and then those first couple minutes when they're like running and bucking and really excited to be out on fresh pasture. That's really fun. It's kind of related to that, but we have there's one section of pasture where they actually have to go on a road for about 500 feet. So we have to, we put cones out, we put flags out, and we kind of close down the road and have the cows march down the road across this bridge into another pasture. And that part is pretty fun, just because we get to.
That sounds like a full cow parade.
Yeah, cow parade. Absolutely.
That sounds amazing. And them going out and bucking as they're going into grass, that sounds like little kids running recess pretty much. So that's very relatable.
So Casey, you mentioned something interesting. You said setting fences. So I guess I would assume a lot of people think you just have this big fence, big pasture, cows are on it the whole time, but it sounds like you're constantly moving that fence and changing where your cows are eating. Can you talk to us about how you do that? Are you guys rotational grazing? What does that mean?
Yeah, before we transitioned to an organic farm, it was more like that, where here's one big pasture and the cows go out. But what we learned is that it's just not the best way to manage your pasture. So we do, you just mentioned it, we do it in what's called intensive rotational grazing, where the cows will go to a smaller paddock and they'll graze all the good stuff down, and they'll come in and get milked, and we'll set up another spot, and then they'll go to a brand new pasture, so that they have 40-45 days to let that pasture rest before it's ready for them to go back in again. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it, making sure that this particular section has enough for them, and so we're constantly setting up new fences. We have a few like more permanent ones that are around the border of our farm, and then we just use polywire and fence posts to set up the new paddocks for them each day.
I was going to say, like, you keep mentioning cows are out on grass. It sounds like quite a bit. How many days are your cows out on pasture?
We first have them ready to go out usually late April, early May, and they'll probably be out until like maybe very early November, late October. So it's getting to the point where there's just not enough sunlight and not enough for them to eat out there. But every chance that we get, they're outside eating grass. That's what they like the most.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty phenomenal life to me. Getting to be outside, running around, and eating a lot. That sounds
Absolutely.
Yes.
Perfect.
sounds
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
they're very pampered, the milk cows.
It sounds like you work hard so that they can have that relaxed, chill lifestyle. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you talked about like favorite farm chore, but in your opinion, in your mind, what is that worst farm chore that you're like, oh, I just don't want to do that. I know I've got to, but man, if my brother was home from LA, I would make him do it. Like, what's that chore that you just don't want to do?
Huh.
Yeah, what chore are you pawning off to somebody else?
That's another good question, because I always, I don't know, you find different ways to make each chore a game and make it enjoyable, but anything that has to do with shoveling manure, is hard to get that excited about. So it's probably cleaning the barn or cleaning out different stalls, but I don't know. It's not that bad in the end.
So I think you're still with your ducks and your chickens, right, Casey? So can you tell us a little bit more about the differences between like the duck eggs and the chicken eggs?
Yeah. The main thing is that the duck eggs are bigger, and if you break them open and you have a duck egg and a chicken egg next to each other, you'll see that there's a lot more yolk and a lot less white. So like the clear part of the egg with the duck eggs. And a lot of people like duck eggs for baking because they make they'll make cakes and cookies and pastries a little bit richer and a little more full. But one of the things like that I really like to do with the duck eggs, I kind of mentioned, is the ice cream. I did actually make some, so you guys can't have it, but I can show you what it looks like, and because it's something that it just tastes so good. And it's actually I will just call out one other Organic Valley product, because I use the see if we can see it.
That's a great one. Yes.
Yeah,
Those
the heavy.
Yeah, totally. We love heavy whipping cream.
We've got it here. New package, but same product. So yeah, absolutely. We love that heavy whip.
Yeah. Every time we go to Wegmans, we're just getting as much of this as we can. We always save some, so other people can have it, but we like to get it too.
Love that.
But I'll show you here. This is just so you can get a little bit of the color. I don't know if that comes through.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
But, yeah, very yellow, and it's all it is the Organic Valley whipping cream, the heavy cream. There are 3 duck eggs in here, and then some sugar and some vanilla, and that's it. I'll try a little bit here. But I've made, I've added. There's a certain part of the summer where we have a lot of raspberries and blackberries, and I'll throw that in. You can also just add in, put in some chocolate, and some other things, but the vanilla is kind of my favorite.
Casey, can you remind us again how many generations of your family have been farming?
We actually have 13 generations of our family farming, and we've been 5 generations on this particular farm, but there's been a few other spots in New York where our family's been. But yeah, so we go pretty far back, with a lot of farming in the blood.
And have you always wanted to be a farmer, or what was the decision for you? Where did that come in for when you decided to be Farmer Casey?
Yeah, I actually didn't always want to do it. After I graduated high school, I pretty much left the farm for about 10 years, and did a bunch of different things. I lived in Argentina and San Francisco and New York City and
Wow.
a few other places. But it was my now wife and I were actually living in New York City, and we were working regular corporate jobs, like sales jobs. And when COVID hit, it was very hard for a lot of people, but for us, we were able to work remotely, and so we moved back to the farm and fix up one of the old farmhouses here. So that's where we live now. And for a while, I was milking and doing chores in the morning, and then I'd hop on the computer during the day, and then and do some more chores after sending all the emails and things that I would do on the computer. And then a couple years ago, there was just so much to do, and I basically decided that I can always get another job, but I'm probably the best person in the world to be working on this farm. So I decided to go full time on the farm. So it's been, I think 3 years now that I've been doing this full time. So it's funny. Like I thought that I knew how everything worked. In a way I did, but once you're actually doing it full time for a couple of years, you start to see how all the different systems work together, and so there's so much to learn. Every day I'm still learning different things, different ways to do things, and why we do them. So it's definitely been a good move.
So what's a surprising lesson that you've learned, or what's been super helpful, or is there some helpful advice that you've been given on your learning farmer journey?
Some helpful advice. The first thing that comes to mind is just, I work with my dad a lot, and there's certain ways that he likes to do things, and you don't always know why, but but then then something happens, and you see why they have things set up that way. So I think listening to your elders and listening to other people with a lot of experience, they have probably done what you're trying to do 20 times before, so they probably know the best way to do it. So that would be my advice.
Was it hard to start taking those tips? Like when you first come back and you've got all these big ideas, like was it hard to listen to that wisdom, or did that come pretty naturally because it was coming from your dad?
No, it's pretty easy. At the end of the day, he's been doing it his entire life. So no, I'll always voice my ideas of maybe some different things that we can do, and sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not right, but no, it's been actually really, really fun to work together.
Sounds like you've become closer, and you've become a very skilled negotiator on that farm, Casey. So kudos to you. It's a beautiful day today. The weather is stunning there in New York.
And the fall colors are even better. Like, yeah. Casey, can you give us a shot of those mountains or the trees again so we can just see that, like the rolling hills there?
I'll just swing it around here. Maybe you can kind of still see the cows out there. But yeah, we're right in, we call it the glacial valley. So here is kind of one side of the valley, and then if I swing over, there's the other side. So yeah, it is full on fall right now. The leaves are awesome.
Well, and Casey, we do have a comment in the chat. Beautiful backdrop, incredible story, amazing farmer. Michael says that you should be on the cover of Gray's magazine because your story is just so inspiring. So we're going to have to figure out if we can make that happen for you.
All right. Sounds good to me.
So you also mentioned that you just got married a couple weeks ago. I'm curious, did your wife grow up on a farm? Is this new for her? How does she feel about coming back to the farm and working? Like, how's that been?
No, it's funny you say that, because when we first met, we met in San Francisco, and she, early on she said, just so you know, I'm never gonna move to your farm. And I was like, okay, that's fine. You've never been, but maybe once you see it a little bit more, it'll come around. And then once we did actually start to spend a little bit more time here, because we were in New York City on the East Coast, it started to look like a better and better idea. And honestly, now she knows more people than me here, and has figured it out, and she does really, really great. So she helps with a lot of the chickens. She helps us with the meat birds and getting them ready to sell. So she fits right in here. She does really great.
Amazing. So while we're also still in this little chicken pasture here, can we collect some duck eggs? Can you show us the difference in size between like a chicken egg and a duck egg? Do you have any close by to you there?
I do. I don't know if I have any of the chicken eggs, but we can. I do have this little basket, and we can pick up some of the duck eggs. So this is how I would do it. We just have this basket, and you want to be careful, because the duck eggs are actually a lot even stronger than chicken eggs, but you still just want to be delicate. But this is just what I'll do every morning is pick them up, put them in this basket, and then I'll take them inside and clean them and put them in an egg carton, and then get them in the shop. So there we go. Thanks for helping collect the eggs.
You mentioned that you make custard with your duck eggs. What other things do you in your household do you use your eggs for?
So I I don't know, maybe a little bit too much information, but I actually like eating the eggs raw. So I'll just crack them open and put them in a glass, just like Rocky, and just eat them like that, because it's such a fast meal. But then, one of my favorite meals or favorite things for breakfast is steak and eggs. So we'll like just fry up the eggs that way with some organic Valley ghee, and my mom always makes cookies with them, so that's always a nice treat. But those are the main ways that we eat the eggs here.
I mean, you can't go wrong with steak and eggs, custard, cookies. Like, yeah, you're
breakfast for every meal, right?
Life.
I would be totally down for that. So if you had fried eggs all the time, that's what I would be doing.
That's awesome. Well, we do have a quick joke while we're in the fowl pen here. Kate, I want to know, what did the duck say when he was done shopping?
I don't know. What did the duck say?
You can put it on my bill. I'm so sorry, everybody.
That's a good one.
What do you call a chicken that tells great jokes?
I'm not sure.
A comedy hen.
Oh, comedy hen. Clever.
Yes, I love that one.
Another shout out in the chat. WD Anderson says, breath of fresh air listening to these wonderful upbeat farmers. And Casey, I think that upbeat spirit, that attitude, that mentality towards the future, again, like you're that fifth generation on this farm. But for people just joining, what's that future of the farm look like for you? Where do you guys want to grow? What does this look like as you continue to develop this business venture?
There's, we're doing really, we're doing well in a lot of areas. And I think the cows are looking better than they ever have. And we've been doing the poultry for over 20 years, and we have a lot of happy customers, and there's just more and more people that are continuing to find out about us. And so I think it's kind of the different things that we're doing and continuing to grow them. And I briefly mentioned it before, but I think if we can expand the direct to consumer side, where we sell some of our own meat and other products, and maybe some organic Valley products and other things like that, I think those are the things that are really exciting for us.
That's so amazing, Casey.
I know you mentioned fifth generation. What were some of the decisions that led to your family going organic?
We've always kind of farmed organically, even before it was called that. So once this new market was coming up where we would be able to actually, be paid a premium to kind of do what we're already doing, it made a lot of sense. So we've never really liked to spray. We've never really liked to use antibiotics with the cows or do any other things like that. So for us, when it was something that we were interested in, we saw the market growing. And then when we heard about Organic Valley and their values, the leadership team and what they were trying to do, it just made a lot of sense. So as soon as we found out, we almost immediately started to transition the farm and get ready to be organic. So that was kind of our decision. Like we've always been, it kind of comes back to the health side. Like you don't want to put any poisons on your food, because that's going to end up in your body and making you sick. So, this is a way that you can raise food and work with the environment in a way where everything is natural. You're not putting any weird chemicals in. So that was kind of our philosophy, and it made a lot of sense to go organic because of that.
Awesome. Well, you mentioned Organic Valley. We are a farmer-owned cooperative, and those may not know, but October is actually National Cooperative Month. So Casey, if you would, tell us what it means to be a farmer owner of a cooperative.
It's a really cool thing. It's a really unique thing, because there's I don't think that there's a lot of other companies that do something similar. So always knowing that the board of directors are your fellow farmers who do the same job that you do and have the same challenges and are working towards the same thing. It's a really nice peace of mind to know that the things that you value and the things that are going to be most important for keeping the farm going are are at the table. It's not just purely looking at numbers and how can we make the most money possible. It's how can we make sure that our existing farmer members can continue farming and transition it to the next generation, and also sell an excellent, high quality, healthy product to people who want that. So I think that's what I think about when I think about being a member of Organic Valley as a farmer owner.
Awesome.
I mean, I don't know about Fierce, but I know that I love working for a farmer-owned cooperative. I love working with farmers and for farmers and helping to market your products every day. It brings me so much joy. I love what I do. So thank you for all of your hard work, Casey. It means a lot to me, and I think to a lot of us here at Organic Valley, that we get to just enjoy working with such cool people who care so deeply about what they do. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Casey, last chance for those on the live stream. We're with Farmer Casey out in New York. Casey, anything you want to say to the kids from school that are attending, or any of the other attendees in the live stream? Any final thoughts from Casey before we move on to our next farm here?
I think the thing that I would want to say is your health is the most important thing that you have, and it should be your main focus. And the best way there's a lot of different things that you can do healthy, but your diet is one of them. And when you're in the grocery store, there's a lot of different types of things, but when you see Organic Valley, you know that it is a great product, a healthy product. It's poison free, and the farmers who produce it, they don't care about anything more than making a really great product. So and then, if in terms of people who are interested in farming, there's a lot of different ways to get started. If there's a farmer's market or another place like that where you can actually talk with farmers and see what they do and see if there's something that you may be interested in. You get to do so many things during a day, from taking care of animals. Sometimes you can act as a vet. Sometimes you are a mechanic fixing a tractor or fixing a piece of equipment. You get to be outside all day, solving really interesting problems. So there's one program called the Dairy Grazing Apprenticeship, DGA, that I believe Organic Valley has partnered with. And that's just an awesome resource to get directly in contact with a farmer in your area to be an apprentice with them. And so we need more farmers, and it's a great lifestyle and a great life. And so that's what a message I would leave with everyone.